Hello, River of Life Community Fellowship. It is time once again for another midweek check-in. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday of Passion Week, of the Wednesday before Easter, and it's interesting. Like when you look at like what Jesus did during that Holy Week or the Passion Week, like he was busy. He had all kinds of things going on, teachings in the temple and clearing the temple and the Passover meal, all these different things going on. But when you look at it, nothing's really going on Wednesday. Like on the Wednesday of Passion Week, like that was when Judas supposedly approached the Sanhedrin and agreed to betray Jesus, and that's when the Sanhedrin kind of really got their plot going. But other than that, there's really nothing. It doesn't really say anything about what Jesus was doing. And oftentimes it's called Silent Wednesday. And I find that interesting. As we were talking this week, going through our series on the Feasts of Hope and the feasts and fasts and festivals of the Old Testament that point us to Christ. And we talked about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which, starts with Passover. And one of the things that led up to that event, Passover, and then the week that followed it, was that the Israelites were in Egypt for 400 years. And one of the ways that we see Christ in the Feast of Unleavened Bread is that the Israelites were in Egypt for 400 years, and it seemed like God really wasn't doing anything. And then God sent Moses to redeem them. But then when you get into the end of the Old Testament, God spoke through the prophet Malachi, and then he was silent for 400 years before John the Baptist arrived to proclaim God's redemption. And so, it's interesting. There's like, you see this leading up to the Passover, there's this 400-year silence. And then, leading up to Christ showing up, there's this 400-year silence. And it's just interesting because it just really seems when you step back and look at it that God wasn't really doing much. Just kind of like on the Wednesday of Holy Week, it seemed like it was silent. God was silent. Nothing was happening. But in truth, there was actually a lot happening. When you look at the Old Testament, one of the things that happened is, for the Israelites, over that 400 years, they went from these 12 families to the nation of Israel, to where there were, over 1 million people. And when you look at like the time before Christ, like Israel was this nation, but they were under the authority of another nation. And in that 400 years between Malachi and John the Baptist, there was a lot of political change, and they kind of went from empire to empire to empire, and finally ended up in the Roman Empire, which was necessary for them to be able to spread the gospel. It was necessary for the first followers of Christ to be in the Roman Empire because of things like the Roman road system and just the ability to spread the good news throughout the empire. And the Israelites, they needed 1 million people to be able to take the promised land. They couldn't have done it with with just these 12 families. They needed the 1 million people. And so it was during that time God was preparing the way for the good things to happen. It wasn't just that God was silent, that God wasn't working. He was doing work. And, he was working in the silence. And we see that also, in Holy Week, when on that Silent Wednesday, like God was preparing for the Passover. He was preparing for Good Friday. He was preparing for Resurrection Sunday. He was doing work. And so, like, my encouragement to you is today is like, there are times in our lives when it seems like God is silent. It seems like we're not hearing from him or nothing's happening. And I just want to encourage you that in those times that God never stops working. He is never not working. And so when you get into those times of silence, those are the times to really dig in, to really seek God through prayer, to seek God through spending time in the Word, even if it seems mundane, even if it seems like going through the motions. Constantly work to approach his throne because he is working. And when the time is right, he'll speak again. And you'll see the work that he's been doing. So that's my encouragement for you for this Holy Week, for this Silent Wednesday of Holy Week. I hope and pray that you're connecting with God. And if you are in a time of silence, dig in deep, and just be excited for what God is doing. Because there was Silent Monday or Silent Wednesday, and then the Passover, and then Good Friday, and then Resurrection Sunday. Like the work that God is doing, even in the silence, will come to fruition. Just hold on and dig into him in the waiting. So that's what I have for you. I hope that you're having a great Holy Week, and I hope that you're able to just seek God fully in all that you're doing. Thanks, and God bless.